Hey guys, and welcome back to Runway from the Rav, a Project Runway podcast. My name is Riley.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we'll be discussing Season 16, Episode 4, We're Sleeping Where? But it's spelled where as in clothes. Yep, it's a pun. So this week's challenge was to create a fashionable sleepwear look for Heidi Intimates line. And then you also had to create your own textile by hand. Normally they got to print them in the past or do a digital thing by hand.
Is this a budget thing? Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure it is, because for Heidi's purposes, it'd be much easier to mass produce something that was digital. Obviously, they'll make it digital with these hand, but yeah, they literally had like potatoes and paint, but we'll get to that. So you had to create your own textile, and then the winning look would be produced by Heidi's line commercially, so mass produced, which is pretty nice. Most of these designers have never had that. They just make custom, like they make it once and then kind of over. And then the kind of twist this time, Heidi and Tim come out on the runway. The designers are still there from last week's, like the end of that runway, and they've got big backpacks on, and they say, guess what? We're going to have a sleepover at the Empire State Building. So probably the most famous building in all of New York City. And they are going to have a sleepover on the 86th floor, the top floor. And, sketch, and then just sleep in sleeping bags on the exposed ground of the Empire State Building, where hundreds of thousands of people walk and spit and God knows what. Just lay down and sleep. What am I, germaphobe? Is that weird? Like, no one else thinks like that? Okay.
I was just more concerned about, like, the concrete that their poor bodies had to sleep on.
Yeah, they literally laid, like, on the brick.
A sleeping bag.
In a sleeping bag. And not like a fancy looking one.
No.
Like, most of them didn't have pillows or anything. They're just in a sleeping bag. It gets cold at night, like, because they were filming it a couple months ago, but, like, it's cold at night and they're way up, so it's windy. I mean, the 86th floor, that's super high up.
Do you think you could hear traffic still? Like, just
it's probably
traffic
like a
sounds?
hum. It's probably like a hum.
Okay.
I wouldn't imagine you could hear. Like, I bet the wind was...
Oh,
you're so high up.
That's true.
Although we did learn a little thing about Claire. She's afraid of heights. She's really the only one who mentioned it. And she's like, I've been high up in buildings before and you can kind of feel them sway, which is true.
Yeah.
And can be unnerving. No one else really seemed to have an issue. Everybody else, they're all wearing like pajamas. They're pretty excited. They're sketching with their friction pens, the official pen, Project Runway.
Yeah.
So they had like a set time to sketch. And obviously that building's pretty old, very Art Deco style. So they were kind of, some of them got inspired by the building. Some got inspired by the view, because obviously they're up there at night. And I've never been to New York City, but I can only imagine up there at night with all the lights. That has to be so cool.
Yeah.
And in the morning, Tim shows up in his suit and he wakes him up with breakfast sandwiches. I was surprised, one, that it wasn't like bagels. I feel like bagels is like a huge thing in New York City. Yeah. And then two, missed like sponsorship opportunity. Why wasn't he like, and here I've got, I don't know, like Hardee's breakfast sandwiches or some New York chain. That seemed weird that he just had like generic breakfast sandwiches. But then they got to work right away, and it turned out that Heidi selected the textiles, mostly silks of different colors, pretty light, so she kind of selected the color palette. So no mood, no swatch this week. But it makes sense. I actually kind of liked that she picked the textiles because it's her line. How'd you feel about it?
That's fine. A little bit of a scuffle trying to get those fabrics.
Yes, everybody's like, calm down as they're pushing each other aside. But if you get a bad color, then you're out. Although it was a pretty muted palette. And then they were tasked, like I said, with creating their own textile. Some people decided to do a print. Some people just kind of dip-dyed it or made like splotchy kind of dye.
There was not a lot of sharing going on either, by the way.
Of
like
paints and things.
Yes. Like, remember, I guess we haven't gotten there yet, but like when Deontay is looking for some dye, he's just like, is this anybody's? Like, as if it, like as if there was like that weird ownership over stuff. Like, I don't know, is it always like that? Where you just, I don't know.
Well, when they had, like, they just set up a table that had like little pots of paint, like dye, little scissors, little like glue, and then potatoes, because you can cut a potato into like a stamp that you can then reuse, which seems like, I guess it's faster to cut into than rubber, but wow, a potato.
Yeah.
And then they also had like shaving cream, which I guess you use for something. A lot of people were using it, but I'm not sure what that was for. And then they had a few other items over there. And yeah, I think it's just first come, first serve. Kind of like the styling wall. If you really want that pair of sunglasses or shoes or that potato, you got to get it.
Yeah.
Got to get your tato and get on out. Then there was a few moments, because a lot of people were struggling, because not a lot of designers make sleepwear. That's not a super common kind of thing.
At least not that you focus only
right,
on
to
that.
only make sleepwear.
Yeah.
But it's pretty high stakes to work with Heidi, and then to also get your stuff, you have a mass-produced item that a lot of people could buy and have your name on. So, that could be pretty neat and would be sold in JCPenney stores. Select.
Ooh.
Yeah, so maybe we could go right now and get the winning look.
Yes.
Ooh, we might have to make a little
That's going to be a bonus episode.
field trip. Wow, maybe. Okay. So this is always a fun type of episode, though, because Heidi comes into the workroom. So everybody's getting started. There's a lot of struggling. The twins are kind of both struggling but helping each other out. We see a lot of other designers like Kenya and a few others struggling. Kentaro a bit. And then Heidi comes in. And hilariously, I just have a few highlights of when Heidi came in. So almost immediately, I think she's talking to Sean, I believe, who's talking about making a jumpsuit. Because, it's like, oh, yeah, and I'm tired, ready to go to bed. Time to hop into my jumpsuit and just go to bed and hope I don't have to, go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And sure enough, the second Heidi hears jumpsuit, she starts doing, the pee dance, which is hilarious. She's in stilettos. She's Heidi freaking Klum. And she's there oh, what if I have to go to the bathroom? And she's, dancing around doing the little, pee dance. And then later on, she dropped the term vajayjay, which is, a TV-appropriate way of saying it, I guess. And then later, I think it was Margarita was working on a dip dye that she done with, pinks and purples. And Heidi was like, wow, that's really pretty. And then Margarita was like, oh, maybe I'll put it, underneath, down here. And Tim was like, I'm just getting menstrual cycle. So she turned hers into blue.
And then she, flung the piece of fabric off the table.
Yeah, she literally flew. She's like, that's out. She just threw it. Which is good, because some people may have been like, no, this is truly my design. Then we had a small allusion to tying someone up, tying her up, because they had a sash or something that is you could get tangled up in that when you sleep. Most people roll around and move. I don't. According to my Fitbit, I lay the dead for 6 hours and then wake up. But most people move, I think. It could get all tied up. But they made it, obviously, it was, tied up, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Amy was working on a print for, she was going to make panties. And on the butt, she wanted, the skyline. And I think Heidi said, quote unquote, you don't want New York City on your bottom. And no, you don't.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, just an odd choice there. Otherwise, in the workroom, we had our very first just straight out said it's not fair about the twins and how they work with each other. So I thought this would come much sooner, but it's episode 4, and Margarita was the first one to just straight out say it's not fair. That it's one thing, Margarita's bonded with Michael and they kind of help each other out, but by help each other out, they're just do you kind of like how this top's looking? Yeah, it looks good. Done. Or, they might kind of be yeah, I like the strap, but literally Sean and Claire were shown in this episode and previous ones sewing each other's garments, doing things for each other with their garments and stuff. And sometimes, I think in previous episodes Sean's needed more help, but this time Claire seemed to need more help. But it is a bit of an unfair advantage because they're not just close friends, they're not even just siblings, which we've never seen before either. They're twins. And they were on a reality show before called Twinning, which they won by being the best twins. So these aren't just twins, okay? These are the best twins, according to reality TV. So they're going to work together, and they know how to work together, and that's how they run their, like, business, kind of. Mm-hmm. So it does seem not fair. But this is the first time it's been... Other people are just like, they're annoying or blah, blah, blah. Oh, gosh. Oh. We're underneath an acorn tree, like an oak tree, and it's dropping acorns. Do you want to move?
No.
Are you okay?
But that sounded so loud.
It's becoming fall here, God. And
we're getting some stare downs.
Okay, so if we survive, here we are. Sometimes it rains, but wow. Okay, so I just thought that was interesting. You know, we've had people complain about the twins, but this was the first straight up, it's not fair. And other people, it wasn't just Margarita, like other people were mentioning how it was really obvious, you know, but she's the first who straight up just said, it's not fair. Was there anything else in the workroom you wanted to bring up?
I had another little bit that I liked, but I bet you have it for your quotes, so I'll save it for the end.
You can say it now.
It was this one.
I don't have that. Go ahead. Because I didn't want to include it, but if you want to, go ahead.
It was gross, but like, so the moment I'm referring to is when it starts with Kentaro's critique with Kentaro, Tim, and Heidi. He's showing them his print that he's been working on. And they really like it, but they're like, you know, we don't want it to be too rigid, like, be a little bit more free-handed with it. And the word anal gets used. They're
yeah, Heidi was like, what's the word for that?
Don't be too anal. And Kentaro, like, there's just a little bit of, you know, cultural difference there. And so it's just a cute moment later on between Kentaro and Samantha. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, good morning, anal.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, I don't want to be anal. He's like, I don't want to be, good morning, anal. I don't want to be.
It's awkward, but it was hilarious.
It was.
But moving on.
Yes. So, yeah, let's move on to the runway. So this week's guest was Demi Lovato, mm-hmm. who has done like a fitness type, mm-hmm. like design work.
Yes, which I had no idea.
Yes, and then she's obviously also a singer and an actress. But mm-hmm. I didn't know that she was getting into fashion. But she was like the spokeswoman and kind of designer on like a fashion fitness line. Mm-hmm. So first up down the runway we had Amy, and she put down a light blue. I'm gonna call this like a maxi dress with a kind of draped front top, mm-hmm. a slight kind of sleeve about halfway down the arm. And then her pattern was like these black lines with like smudges in a line. What do we think of Amy's?
This, I mean, it wasn't my personal favorite. It's basically, you know, like a nightgown, I guess. Yeah. And I don't know. Her style is very sporty, which is kind of cool. Like, you don't see a lot of that. But...
yeah, it's got a black like trim. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, I didn't hate this, but I just didn't love it. I didn't feel like there was, like, a ton of design to it. It's much better than her skyline on the bottom idea.
Yeah, she did transform her original idea quite a bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, like, I like the print, but I don't know. This piece, it just wasn't my favorite.
I think the front, it just looks like she wrapped a sheet around herself, like she was sleeping. And yeah. It's just a sheet or a tablecloth. And then from the back, it looks like my grandma's nightie.
Yeah. There's
next.
Not a ton of design.
Yeah. I liked her print, but it just looked like a sheet. Mm-hmm. And who goes to sleep in like a full-on maxi dress that like you can't even like move your leg? Am I the only person who like sticks the leg out while they sleep?
Yeah.
It'll
get eaten. Oh my god. No. I never put any limbs outside.
Well, let's be honest. I wouldn't wear a single one of these looks to bed.
No.
I wear like gym shorts and a t-shirt.
Ditto.
And in the winter, I change it up to like lounge pants and a t-shirt. But, you know, when I go to bed, I'm going to bed. Okay? I'm not trying. Yeah, it's not a fashion show. And I guess if you wanted to be like, ooh la la, I'd wear something different and then or nothing. I wouldn't be like, in my pajamas is where I'm really going to get my, my Heidi sexy.
Yeah.
So next up we had Brandon, and he put down this like yellow kind of splotchy crop top. I think this is the 4th episode in a row with a crop top from Brandon.
Yeah.
With a light pink kind of yellowy wide-legged pant. What do we think of Brandon's?
Also not my favorite. When I saw it, I just thought flesh. And I don't know, for whatever reason, like, it just doesn't read as sleepwear to me. Like, it was fine, but not that great. Like, I wouldn't have put him in the bottom, but it definitely wasn't in the top for me. What do you think?
To me, this looks like someone's curtains, but they're like a smoker. The red splotches to me, blood. Yellow splotches to me is just dirty.
Yeah.
And because it's yellow, I just think of like cigarette, smoke, over time, yellow stuff. So to me, this was just poor choice on the color. Yeah. And then the outfit itself, there's nothing here.
No.
There's just the acorns. Last week, I guess he didn't put down a crop top last week. He put down like the straight jacket and the little black slip dress. But like, it's just awful in color, especially from behind. It's bad. Next up we had Margarita, and she put down this like blue kind of dip ombre, like a robe top with a sash, and then it had wide leg pants. I'm not sure if the top is like a full separate come off robe. It looks like it could be, or if that's just a wrap top. That full sleeves and then full wide leg pants. What do we think of Margarita's?
This one I actually really liked. Like, it doesn't seem practical at all for actual sleeping, especially if that isn't a robe and if it's like a top that's here to stay.
Right.
Like, it's not practical, but I just thought it looked cool, and I liked the ombre effect.
I'm glad she went with blue and not the other color.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just, I think it looks cool. Like, it looked cool on the runway, but practicality and then like being a commercial piece, I don't think it would work, but I don't know. As a runway piece, it was kind of cool. What do you think?
I did forget to mention Amy and Brandon were both safe.
Oh yeah.
As was Margarita. I didn't dislike this. To me, this makes me think of like a rich old lady who'd wear like those high heeled shoes, like little pom pom, and this is what she wears with like her long cigarette in the mornings.
Yes.
And she's like, "Now Jeeves, make sure my eggs Benedict." Like to me, that's what this like olden kind of times. Like I like the blue. It looks comfortable. I wouldn't want to sleep in it, but it looks like comfortable to lounge around in, and it feels like sleepwear.
Yeah.
Some of the things were kind of like borderline. You could like go like streetwear, but this really felt like sleepwear. And she was safe as well.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, speaking of the shoes, I get that it's a runway show, but like it's sleepwear and it's JCPenney's. I know JCPenney sells some slippers. I know you do. Or just have them go down barefoot. It was so weird to me that like a couple people had sneakers on and everyone else was wearing high heels. And I'm like, if it was lingerie, wear the high heels. But I'm like, I want to see some bunny slippers or just bare feet. Sorry, it's a sleepwear for mass-produced items, okay? This is not...
That's a good point.
So next up we have Claire, and she put down a bright pink, I believe this is a romper. And it's got like a wrap top that is sheer in the back, and then it has long sleeves, but a really short romper, short bottom. What do we think of Claire's?
I really did not like this one at all. Like, I feel like we've seen this kind of like, twist, knot, whatever. Like, I've seen it on either one or both of their outfits.
Sean's done it on the top a lot, yeah.
And, like, I don't know. This one doesn't seem like a practical, like, gotta go pee in the middle of the night outfit either.
Rompers are not super practical in the best of times.
No.
Because you're going to have to basically, same thing with a jumpsuit, you're going to have to remove practically all of it. So then you're, like, naked in the middle of the night, sitting there on, with your romper around your ankle. Like, no.
Yeah.
The color to me also, I get that they may have dyed it or whatever, but to me, I don't see what textile she made here.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks, maybe it was a lighter pink and she dyed it dark pink, but...
yeah. It's just on the tie, isn't it?
Oh, is that where her pattern is?
We
have a really low res image of it. Oh,
but
it has a lighter pink tie. But yeah, I just don't see that she made enough of a textile here. And then who wears a romper to bed?
Yeah.
Who wants long sleeves but then short shorts? That just looks like you get tangled up in it. But she was safe. Next up, we have Botany, and she made a like purple spaghetti strap dress with a really, really deep V. And then like some like colorful like lines was her pattern. Mm-hmm. And then the top of like the little, I don't know, over the chest was like darkened there, like a dip dye. What do we think of this one?
This one I thought was alright. Like, definitely a safe look for me. Like, not a top or a bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I thought, once again, like, the long dress, it's a lot for something you're gonna sleep in.
Mm-hmm. Especially in today's day and age. Like,
yeah.
To the floor seems long.
And then the pattern that she did, like, to me, it was, like, very obvious. Like, it was, like, a very obvious, like, paint streak. Like, it didn't transform, I guess. Like, it just, like, to me, it didn't feel like it really went with, like, the silky...
Yeah, it was, like, paint splatter in a multitude of colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it fine. I mean, I really like purple. I think it looks kind of slinky and cute. I think it's a little too long. But I really appreciate the styling here on the model. With her hair, because that's basically, I wake up with that hair where it's not a curl enough you could go out, but it's too much texture to just call it straight hair either. So, but I think I liked it. But yeah, like you said, neither, not really a top or a bottom, but she was safe. The judges agreed with us. Yeah. Next up, we had Michael, and he had like a light pink, kind of like a blushy pink knee-length slip dress with multiple kind of straps at the neck. To give it that architectural feel. And then he had this silver kind of like Art Deco, like the top, I think he said, of the Chrysler Building, or maybe it was the Empire State Building, like kind of in a very methodical places on her body to kind of bring in like the curve and just have that. And that was like a silver stamp. What do we think of Michael's?
This was my favorite this week. I felt like he used the pattern the best. Like, he actually like made the pattern work within the design rather than it just being, a printed piece of fabric that was being used. Like, he actually used that very strategically. And then, like, his dress, it had, like, design elements to it. It wasn't just, like, a long, flowy dress. It was...
Yeah, it ended at, like, the knee, yeah.
And, like, he gave more attention to, like, the neckline and then also the straps in the front and the back. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I really like this one.
I like this one as well. I'm not whooped about all the straps. I feel like that looks hard to get into. And if I'm about to go to bed, I'm probably, not at peak mental capacity because I'm tired and it's late at night. But I guess I guess I should look at the sleepwear as like you're not wearing it on your average, Tuesday night. You're wearing this if you're like on vacation with your significant other or something like that. And you want to be a little, cha-cha-cha with your silky little outfit. So I did like this, and I liked the length and where he put the print made more sense than people just like putting it all over. And then I think he got a good color. I feel like blush has been pretty popular this year. Okay. Next up he was chosen for critique in the top. Next up we had Deontay, and he put down a like blue, again like splotch dyed, I don't know another way to describe it. It's a splotch.
Yeah.
Couple designers splotch. With a top, quite long and pretty high up on the neck, sleeveless, with a cinched skirt that was basically just fabric hung around an elastic cord. That's pretty much what the skirt is. And then halfway through at the end of the runway, she untucked the shirt and showed that it was like a tunic length. What do we think of Deontay's?
Not fantastic. It was not flattering at all on his model. And like a skirt, I've never ever, like, I can't recall ever seeing a skirt as like a sleepwear piece.
Not a separate skirt.
No. A nightgown or like a dress or something.
Yes.
But not a skirt by itself, like a skirt and top. That's just I don't know. That's breaking one too many rules, I think. And then, like, just everything, it was so covered up. It was, like, matronly and just...
It's, like, past the knee. The skirt goes past the knee in length. And then the top is super high up to the neck. And then really high cut up armholes. Yeah. And it's really shapeless as well. And then the untucking, it looked worse.
Yeah.
And he thought that's what made it sexy.
Yeah, it was...
He was chosen for teak in the bottom.
Yeah.
Next up we had Aaron, who put down like some gray shorts with an elastic top with a front, what we thought at first was like a shirt, but turned out to just be like a flap of fabric tucked into the pants. That was strappy. As well, and then pretty much backless. And then he made a pattern of silver paint based off a grate he had seen. So like covering, you know, like a vent.
Yeah.
That was very Art Deco and had some kind of lined patterns. So he did that all over his silk fabric, which lost him a lot of its kind of movement and flow. But he, you know, he put down some skirts on a flap. What do we think of Aaron's?
This one, when it was like walking the runway, I didn't think it was so bad. And I liked his idea for his pattern. Like, even though, yeah, it really did affect the fabric and the way it moved, like, I still really liked it and felt like he was one of the few people who actually, like, really went for the print part of the challenge.
Yes.
And, like, actually incorporated that clearly. And, like, at first I thought it was all one piece. I didn't realize till it was, like, stopped and then they were looking at it that it was, like, those huge shorts. And
yeah, I thought it was like a weird big romper.
Yeah,
too.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think it was so bad at first, but then as the episode went on, it went really downhill.
I liked the idea of his print as well, but the way he executed it by putting it on everything, I think was too much. And then I just don't know who wears gigantic oversized shorts. They look like she took like her dad's basketball shorts.
Yeah.
But if they were pleated.
They were huge.
And then pulled them on and she's like 7 years old. Yeah. And then the shirt that's just a flap that you have to tuck in. That's not how sleeping works. Sorry.
No.
Just isn't. So he was chosen for critique in the bottom. Next up we had Ayana. And I liked that in the workroom, Heidi came over and was like, what are you making? Like, this isn't modest. And Ayana was like, well, at home, we wear what we want. And, you know, to go to, like, they only dress modestly when they leave the house.
Yeah.
Or if there's, like, guests over. But, like, at home, they, you know, they wear what they want. They let their hair down. So this was kind of nice to have a challenge where she could she didn't have to necessarily work within. Obviously, it's still modest in its own way, but it's not, you know, full or length or no head covering or anything. So she put down this, like, long pink robe, like a pretty bright pink robe, over top this gray, like, sheer top that had panels that were opaque. And then it had, I believe it's shorts. I think they're separates. Yeah. Also gray, quite short, and then it kind of had, like, a strap over it. What do we think of Ayana's?
This one, I think this is the first look of hers that I didn't really care for. I didn't really like the colors, which I don't know how much control she probably had. Maybe she just didn't get what she wanted, like, quickly enough. But I just didn't really like the pink over whatever the, like, grayish green color is. And then, like, I kind of liked how it was looking on the mannequin in the workroom better. Like, to me, that looked more interesting than how it actually turned out.
It lost some of its, like, sheerness.
It
looks
did.
Way more opaque out on the runway. Yeah. So I don't know if she lined it or what, but it looks different.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just okay. I mean, I wouldn't have put it in the bottom, but I didn't love it.
I like the robe part. I think robes would sell at, like, a silk, like, pink robe, floor length, that would probably sell. And it had full-length sleeves. I'm guessing that's where her pattern was, because it looks like the pink may have some type of, like, dye to it. But otherwise, I don't see it on the gray. I wanted to like the sheer, like, play with the sheerness, but again, like, it's like a button down or, like, loose shirt with panels with the shorts. It seems like a lot to put on to go to bed. But she was safe. Next up, we had Sean, and she put down a silver spaghetti top with long, wide leg pant, and it's like a jumpsuit, and then with a sash. And she even said that she's done a lot of sashes. But Claire was like, I love the sash, so she went with it. It's a good thing she did, because the judges called her out on it in a good way. And then she made like a silver pattern that was a very like Art Deco, but it was just kind of like a self-contained little stamp. And then she went back in and did shading on it, which I think she's the only one who then like did like some hand painting on it. And so yeah, what do we think of Sean's?
Well, my least favorite thing ever happened. The person I hate the most makes something I love so annoying as a petty person. But I did. I really, really liked it. I liked the pattern that she did. I don't know. I guess the only thing that I don't really like is I still don't think a jumpsuit's very practical for sleepwear. But it looked really good. I think Tim made the comment that, like, he couldn't believe it was hers when it came out on the runway.
He also threw a little shade early on when him and Heidi first came in. He, like, pulled her aside and was like, there's something on the work form. This never happens. And, of course, in classic, like, BFF style, then Heidi walks right up there and, like, says that. She's like, we can't believe there's something on your dress form. And Tim's probably like, Heidi, like...
Yes.
So yeah, everybody just hates Sean, apparently. I liked this. I thought it was nice. The top has the pattern, and then the pants are, like, plain, like, kind of silvery, and then the sash is long, and it has the pattern again. So I think she worked really well with the pattern. This is probably one of my favorite of, like, the pattern working. I think hers and Michael's were my favorites.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't like the jumpsuit either, but, like, everybody loves a good jumpsuit on this show. Yeah. Project Runway is just jumpsuit galore. I think it's a little ridiculous to expect your average American woman, because that's who's going to be buying this, right? To basically strip down on top completely. Yeah. To go to the bathroom, which is highly likely for your average person, because who gets out of their pajamas immediately upon waking up? So even if you don't wake up in the middle of the night, in the morning you're probably getting ready. You're going to have to go to the bathroom when you wake up. You're probably not going to get out of your pajamas immediately. Who does that? Who gets right into clothes right away? So,
and with a jumpsuit, you gotta take the whole thing off. Yeah. That's just the reality.
Well, and then the sizing and look of a jumpsuit, because the top is kind of like tucked in. So, but she was chosen for critique in the top. Next up, we had Kenya, and she struggled with this a lot. She really struggled with the sleepwear, working with silk. She'd never made a pattern before, so she really struggled with this challenge. She made like a sleeveless, like blush-colored robe, with over like these, it's also a romper with a bright pink short, and then another like a blush kind of backless top that had like a sash on it. What do we think of this?
Not her best.
No, we've been liking Kenya too.
I know, and I still do. Like, I'm just gonna hold out and say she had an off week, because everybody has those. Everybody has.
And this was a hard challenge for her, because she's never done sleepwear or a pattern. So that's like both misses, you know?
And well, okay, where was the pattern? Like, where?
I think it's that she dyed the shorts.
That's...
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say pattern. They had to make their own textile. So they could have just dyed it. They didn't have to make a pattern. So I think we saw her dyeing fabric darker. So I'm guessing it's just she made the shorts darker.
All right.
That was her textile.
Okay.
I shouldn't say pattern. Most people just went for the pattern.
No, that's what I assumed that it was.
It was textile.
I didn't realize.
Yes.
All right.
But what'd you think of the look?
It's not the best.
You don't whisper. The people can't hear you.
I don't know what to say, because it was just a train wreck this week for her, unfortunately.
It doesn't look well. Like, she had a lot of ideas, but none of it's well constructed. The judges pointed out who's going to wear a robe that doesn't have sleeves. Yeah. If you're cold, and a lot of women get cold because your body circulation's trying to keep it in the center, so it might not get to your arm. They're going to want sleeves. And then it's weird, and it's another romper. She was chosen for critique in the bottom. Next up, we had Kentaro. He struggled with this challenge a little bit of trying to break out of being so anal and being a perfectionist. And I think he also claimed like OCD of making sure his lines were perfect. But I think hearing from Tim and Heidi that it's okay if things are a little looser. Like, and it's a 1-day challenge. Like, they understand things aren't going to be 100% perfect. If you had 3 weeks to make this sleepwear and you had some, funky things or your silk was puckering, okay. But they understand. So he put down, it's like this whitish, like white kind of dress with a blue dip dye at the bottom. And then it had like a black line pattern. And then over that he had like colored like chevrons, like pink, yellow, blue. And then the top was like a scalloped kind of top, like, and it looked like the Empire State Building. And then it had a sash that kind of brought it in at her waist, and he had lyris. And then when you take the sash off, then it's just this nice flowing kind of butterfly wing effect, he said. Yeah. What did we think of Kentaro's?
This was alright. I mean, it was good to see him finally make something that wasn't black.
Yes, and they gave him some flack about that last week, so he did not use black this week. Well, very minimally, so.
It was cool to, like, see him do something else. I didn't think there was anything, like, super spectacular about the dress, but I did really like the scalloped edge. Like, that was a nice detail that made it, like, that elevated it past just being, like, a very simple gown. I liked the pattern, too. Like, to me, personally, I thought it was, like, a little too loose. But I guess I'm more like Kentaro. I like things to be very controlled.
He left it for the end. He dyed it the morning of the runway, and he was putting it on. He was stamping like the chevrons and stuff that morning. So I'm thinking he just was like, so that I can't worry about it, I'll do it last minute.
Yeah, which that was probably a good strategy for him. But
I liked the details on this. Like, I liked the scalloped top. I liked the pattern. It's probably my favorite pattern. Yeah. And I liked how he dipped the blue. Like, I liked the details of it. But I don't know. I think it's just the silk that's also throwing me off, because then, like, the silky, like, sheen doesn't seem to match what's going on. But if it was cotton or something else, then it wouldn't look like sleepwear.
Yeah.
But he was chosen for critiquing the top. And then last up we had Samantha. And she put down, like, a white and blue, I'm going to call it a jacket.
Yeah.
With, like, an Art Deco back. And then it was over these like long blue pants, not as wide legged as some we'd seen, but still a bit of room there. And then they had like white stripes at the bottom. What do we think of Samantha's?
I liked it. This was another one that for me was just like right in the middle. Not a top, not a bottom.
This one looked the most to me like a pajama set you could buy right now. Some of them, like, I can't imagine they're selling a lot of sleepwear rompers and stuff throughout the world. But this, to me, the Art Deco back elevates it a bit. But otherwise, this looks like the pajamas like little boys wear in, like, movies.
Yeah, this one wasn't very feminine.
No. Which I think is fun. Like, I think the front, the way the jacket is cut is feminine. But then, yeah, the rest just kind of looks like, it looks the most like someone would just hop into it right now and wear it. And it kind of could be genderless, which I think is neat, that it kind of has that fluidity to it. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's pajamas. The back's the only thing that makes it unique. So that leaves us with Michael, Sean, and Kentaro in the top, and Deontay, Aaron, and Kenya in the bottom. And I don't know about you, but the version I watched, normally they'd play like, the music and they're like, who won? And this time it was just like immediate.
Yeah.
It was just like, and turns out Michael won.
Yeah. No, that was the official edit.
Yeah, so that just felt, because normally they're like the suspenseful music, Heidi's looking, everybody gets a close-up shot, but it's like, Michael's the winner. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I would have picked him, or shockingly, Sean. I can't even believe myself.
Well, wasn't it just last season they picked a jumpsuit as the winner?
What are you talking about?
Like last season for the Heidi Klum challenge.
Oh.
They picked the jumpsuit Laurence made. So maybe she just was like, it was Laurence's jumpsuit. That's who won the Heidi challenge last season. So maybe they're like, we just did a jumpsuit, let's do something else.
What was the challenge last year?
It was to make something for Heidi Klum.
Yeah, but what was it?
I don't.
Was it sports?
I don't.
Swim?
I don't
Sleep?
remember. No, it wasn't. I don't remember, but it was.
All right.
Yeah. But it was made on because remember she was wearing that weird green outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the episode.
Okay, so I agree with Michael as well, and it's the most easily mass-produced.
Yeah.
Kentaro's like that top, that scallop top, that's very hard to make.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously a jumpsuit is a hard sell.
Yeah.
So if you want mass amount of people to buy this, jumpsuit's not the way to go. I can't imagine too many like her target audience is probably like late 20s to like mid 50s is probably in there, like women of all kinds. Not many of them are going to be going for the jumpsuit.
Yeah, I feel like if they'd gone with Sean, they would have split it into a top and a bottom.
Right, and then you have, you lose some of that design.
Yeah.
So that meant that Sean and Kentaro were safe, but this was the first time we saw Sean in the top, so I'm sure she's feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
And then that means our bottom was Deontay, Aaron, and Kenya. And pretty much right away they say, Kenya, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom two were Deontay and Aaron, and it turned out Deontay went home. Do you agree with that?
I do. That's exactly who I would have picked.
Well, and this was the second time in a row on the bottom for the same type of, mistake. And then, they were like, well, you won that first challenge, but really that challenge was kind of a bad runway show. I felt for like red carpet, a lot of the looks, he was like the only one that made like a red carpet dress. Yeah. So I'm like, don't take that challenge too literally, but he was like, well, I won the first challenge, so I feel like I won the competition.
Which, yeah.
But it will be nice that now he can be there when his son is born, because his wife is pregnant and was due to go into labor at any time, so at least he could probably leave since he won't be filming episodes. So that's it. For this week for the runway. So I've got some quotes of the week, and then we'll do our sneak peek into next week, and then I think we're done. So quotes of the week, quotes of the episode. Now this was a bit of an aside. This wasn't like you blink and you miss it quote here from Aaron. He said, "I'm a glittery ass mess" when he was working on his product or his garment.
Apparently I blinked.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
It was right in between another cut, and like you didn't even get normally they like put subtitles if you can barely hear the person, because he was just like working in the workroom, but he was really struggling with like, I don't know, like when he was trying to make his pattern, I think. But yeah, I'm a glittery ass mess. I just liked that. I like Aaron's personality.
I do too. He's really cool.
Yeah, I did not like his outfit this week for the runway show. He wore like literally sheer see-through like yellow bloomers, and then just tighty-whities underneath, and you could see that.
Everything.
And they like showed it like a couple times. I'm like, this is not TV appropriate 8 p.m. showtime. No.
Zach made a comment too.
Yes, and I'm glad they did, because it's like you don't want to distract from your model when you're on the runway, but also like you're a designer and you want to dress well, because the way you dress could infer to other people. I think that's why Bonnie didn't go home that time, because she was so dressed so well herself that they're like, there's more here than there was in Cha-Cha. So the next couple quotes here were from the judging. Couple good Zach moments. He was as close to Michael Kors as we've had in a while for some quotes. First of all, Heidi said basic doesn't win, which I like, and that's a good reminder for Project Runway as well. They almost always go with a slightly, not quite Kudzunai complex from last week, which was just too much going on. But like if you just put down like a sheath dress, they will always go with the one that has more kind of going on, which is what saved Kenya this time. Yeah. And then Zach, about Michael's look, said that it was Deco Cleopatra. Yeah. Which I thought, yeah, that's kind of nice. And then Zach, about Sean's, said that it was Pajama Glamour. Which just has a nice rhythm to it. Pajama Glamour. I like it. And then about Kentaro's look, he said that it was feminine without being girly, which I think is really important, because I think a lot of designers, specifically if they're like menswear designers, or they're like, oh, make it pink or make it frilly or make it, and it's like feminine can wear a 3-piece suit, a men's cut suit, and make it look like, there's been plenty of like famous celebrity women who have gone down like red carpets and suits, and they look just as feminine as someone in a huge ball gown. So it's like the person is feminine or masculine or toys between the two, but like it doesn't have to be girly. So I liked that statement. Do you have any other quotes?
I do not. I already shared mine.
Okay.
The Kintaro one.
So then next week we got a little sneak peek that is gonna, looks like the theme will be good versus evil. And it might be another team challenge or something where like you have to make a good look and an evil look.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. And then there was a castle. Like they were like running towards a castle to maybe get their fabrics. So I don't know what's going on there, but
Yeah. I don't know. And I did not know those like celebrities.
no, I was trying to write their names down. I'm like, I've never heard of them. No big deal.
I guess we'll find out next week.
Yes. But otherwise, do you have any closing statements?
I do not.
All right. Well, just a reminder, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at RavRunway. We're pretty updated on there. But otherwise, we'll see you next week.
All right.